Okay, so for anyone who still does not believe that quantum physics is without a doubt nothing more than repackaged pantheistic evolutionary mysticism that has been the core teaching of the mystery schools going back millennia, just watch this clip. It's the last few minutes of a 30-minute presentation by the Quantum Gravity Research Center in California. Here we go.
So we think reality is a mosaic-like code or language at the smallest scale of reality possible, which is called the Planck length. Particle accelerator data tells us that all particles and forces relate to one another according to a higher dimensional crystal called the E8 lattice. But reality appears to be 3D. So we project a slice of this E8 crystal down to 3D, which produces a quasi-crystal code or language. And that allows these geometric symbols to build up to the ordinary world of particles and forces that we see around us. Now, this geometric language has rules, but it also has syntactical freedom like any language. And that requires some notion of a chooser to choose the free steps in the language. Now, the notion of randomness doesn't work so well when it comes to codes because meaning starts to break down. Besides, there's no decent experimental evidence for randomness in nature in the first place. A universal collective consciousness is one answer, but that sounds New Age and religious. Now, nowadays, a good number of physicists discuss the idea that our whole universe is actually a code-based simulation in some fantastically powerful quantum computer in another universe. Now, if true, then by the same logic, that other universe where the computer running the simulation of our universe would also supposedly be a simulation in another universe. So the idea is a little shaky, but it's being discussed seriously by a lot of credible people. But it turns out that a universal collective-like consciousness of some sort may be physically inevitable. Now, we don't need to anthropomorphize this idea or make it religious or spiritual. To follow why, let us start with the idea of the collective behavior of cells in your body, each a single-celled microbe living its life. A long time ago, only this sort of cellular life form existed here on Earth. These little guys were not too smart, but they did choose what direction to swim and could chase nutrients, reproduce, and run from dangerous things. They made choices with their very simple systems of environmental awareness and desire to survive. Then they self-organized into colonies that were smarter as a group and had more environmental awareness than the individuals. Eventually, animals such as humans emerged. Sophisticated forms of awareness and consciousness now float on an ocean of 37 trillion living cells, self-organized as a human being. It is specifically the laws of physics that caused electrons and quarks to self-organize into 81 stable atoms, and from there, into human consciousness. And physics places no upper limit on the amount of energy and matter that can self-organize into conscious systems.
Physics allows the possibility of all the energy in the universe to eventually convert into a single conscious system that is itself a network of other conscious systems, a massive, technologically based collective consciousness.
Given enough time, anything that can happen will eventually happen. By this axiom, this system of universal consciousness has already emerged somewhere in the frames of space-time ahead of us. Because it is possible, it is inevitable. In fact, according to the evidence of retrocausality time loops, that inevitable future is co-creating us right now, just as we are co-creating it.
When humanity discovers the theory of everything, it will usher in a new age of prosperity. For example, clean, cheap energy, leading to the eventual elimination of poverty.
I like how they also included the chemtrail in the background at the end. But wow, definitely encourage anyone who is interested in kind of exploring this idea, just go check out this whole video. I mean, they're putting the pieces together now. I mean, he actually says, "Well, this sounds New Age, so we don't have to call it that. We don't have to make it sound religious, but it's the same thing." I mean, it's really quite remarkable. And so, yeah, again, it's just coming back to the same things. All the same dots keep connecting. You know, this is the core of scientism, really. Here, it is a religion. It is the ancient religion. It's the Mystery Babylon religion being presented through quote unquote science, through mathematics and through particle accelerators and the Large Hadron Collider. It was giving us the information that's confirming all these ideas of, I mean, right there they're talking about, you know, the fundamental building blocks of the universe with Planck's constant. And, you know, speaking of Max Planck, I mean, if you just go back and read some of the quotes from Planck, you know, the founder of quantum theory, you can see that this pantheistic concept of the universe being consciousness, and consciousness, you know, the universe creates us and we create the universe. I mean, this is pantheism. And this is why it's really alarming to see more and more Christians picking this stuff up and turning to it as though, oh, this is just another arena where we can point to science and, you know, try and confirm the Bible and try and confirm spiritual reality. Well, it definitely is. The problem is that it's definitely geared towards confirming the reality of the spiritual dimensions, but not at all in a way that is in line with biblical spirituality. And so again, we see more and more people like Josh Peck and, you know, Dan Duvall, who have been talking about, you know, getting sucked into these quantum theory, you know, quantum spirituality kinds of things. Here's something from Max Planck. The universe in which we operate is a holographic informational structure. There it is, which we access and program using our consciousness. That's simulation theory, you know, the Matrix, whatever. This concept has been embedded in this stuff since the beginning. You know, they didn't think, you know, the Wachowski brothers didn't think this up. You know, the New Agers of the last couple of decades didn't think this up. This has been part of it for at least, these are actually ancient teachings from mysticism that have been now repackaged into science. Each person inhabits a microverse all their own, what the venerable Robert Anton Wilson calls a reality tunnel. So similarities between them are due to shared programming. All information in the multiverse exists as an entangled wave form, and it is our minds, or rather the symbol-coded programs within our minds, which organize it into space, time, and objects. Rewrite your programming and you encounter a different reality. Here's Max Planck. All matter arises and persists only due to a force that causes the atomic particles to vibrate, holding them together in the tiniest of solar systems, the atom. There it again. That's the whole Mandelbrot, the fractalized universe idea that I've been talking about. It's part of the cosmology. It's part of this quantum reality belief system, this quantum spirituality. Yet in the whole of the universe there is no force that is either intelligent or eternal, and we must therefore assume that behind this force there is a conscious, intelligent mind or spirit. This is the very origin of all matter. Now that's, again, this is monism or pantheism, where all of reality is emanating from the source, and that's this is exactly what Kabbalah teaches, with all the different emanations emanating from the source. It's pantheism. The mind is the matrix of all matter, Max Planck. Niels Bohr, this guy was a total mystic as well. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. And here's Dr. Pillai. He's kind of an open mystic, trying to pointing to the connections between physics and mysticism, saying the physicists are coming to the same conclusion that the mystics had, that it is just the vibration from which everything came into being. And there's been a number of people making these kinds of claims for years, and now you've got this quantum gravity research center openly doing this very same thing, and they're embracing it and preaching this quantum, I mean, not just in this hypothetical, but saying, like, once we figure this out, I mean, do you see the stage being set? Once we figure out this long sought theory of everything, that's going to be the key to unlock everything, and it's actually going to pave the way for a new age of prosperity. I mean, this is they are setting the stage for the Antichrist to come in and finish the equation and solve the puzzle and explain all the stuff. They're setting up the problem. They're setting up the Hegelian, setting it up for that final Hegelian, move. Create the problem and provide the solution. In this case, it's a sort of theoretical problem, but promising to solve all of the quote-unquote real problems, bringing it all back to consciousness. What quantum physics teaches us is that everything we thought was physical is non-physical. I mean, that's what, again, the theory of relativity. Matter and energy are all the same thing. There's no such thing as physicality. It's all consciousness. Everything is energy, and that's all there is. Everything is information. Well, what does that mean? Information has to be stored in a mind. And so it's been making me think about, this is the final stage of the Mystery Babylon New Age gospel. And scientism and quantum physics is the delivery device.